Black Sands! What's going on? So, I have been asked to give my opinion on your public performance as of late, and I gotta say, it's not all that favorable. You may be asking yourself, who is this super dramatic dude making all these different videos and different cuts in order to get your attention? Well, if you Google Black He-Man, you'll find me. So, but the reason why I am speaking is because being on the outside looking in, you're doing us a disservice, my guy. You really are. So, if I'm speaking freely, again, of course, this is my opinion that I have to preface with me, myself, personally feel as though that you as a corporation or the CEO of a corporation that is in the public eye should have a better level of discernment as to how you engage with the people that you call your fans or your critics, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not just you that you are representing. You're representing, like, your wife, point that you've made in a most recent live, your 5,000 investors that you're supposed to be representing them. And you're not doing a really good job there, bro. And like people are saying, like, well, why is it, or you may be thinking, why is it any of your business? It's because at the end of the day, we may not be a monolith talking about black folks, but when someone gets to a level where they are super like popular or, prolific in one way or another, they become a representative of us. Whether we like it or not, that is the reality of the situation, So if we're sitting here looking at Black Sands doing and saying the things that you have said and done, you're not a really good look for us. And we kind of have to like try to nip this in the bud. Like, I understand trying to like, not argue and not fight in front of white folks, but you're kind of making it to the point where nobody can really pull you to the side and really get you to rein your stuff in, because the things that you are doing are terrible. Now, I'm not going to get as granular as going into like screenshots of things that you may have said from a private account that people think like, oh yeah, that's him, and he's saying misogynistic stuff or he's saying homophobic stuff. Like, I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to get into is this last live that you had with I Am Waves. So the thing is, I'm a former debate team captain. So when I was watching that mess, it bothered me because at the end of the day, none of you were really listening to either one of you. Neither one of you were listening to each other, right? Your points weren't getting across, and you had a level of deflection that rivals Trump. So it was frustrating that my boy was making some points, but he couldn't hone in on it because you were not trying to have that kind of conversation. You came in talking about your investors, this, that, and the third, yada, yada, yada. You were defending your brand. And yet, do you really think that your brand looks any better for what you did? Because as a brand owner myself, I can't help but to see the things that you did on a very small level, because when we think about it, those of us who have the ability to rally people behind a cause, we have a responsibility to make sure that we try to stay as clean as possible in our messaging, right? So if you're the CEO and you're getting yourself down in the trenches to have lives with people who have negative opinions about you, or even you sicking your fans onto people because you believe that what you're experiencing is slander, that's not very CEO of you, my guy. That's not. It's very individual. It's very personal. It's very little dick energy. Now, before I get into this live, I want you to understand that when I say that black people should not be a monolith, but we are, I want you to understand the fact that when Universal FanCon failed, there's a lot of people who had no more trust in black-owned conventions, or at least first-year black-owned conventions. I hate to say it, but right now, we had the whole issue of Jonathan Majors. Like, nobody knows what happened, but the fact that the allegations are there is a bad look, right? And y'all still haven't really forgiven Will Smith for slapping Chris Rock. So, I mean, it's kind of it's a part of our culture to really be blamed for everything that one person does simply because of who's looking at us and how we forgive each other if we do or we don't. Most of the time we don't. So bear with me. I'm going to take you on this journey for those of you who didn't see this live, and we're going to piece by piece, try to analyze what could have been a better response and what was the response.
And I will never back down from protecting my brand and my investors. I got 5,000 investors from the Black community that you say I'm supposed to be protecting. And I need to make sure that their valuation isn't hurt because somebody decides to make a little clout video to go and, get a couple of followers. I'm sorry. But if they go out there and try to slander me and it actually affects my business, I'm going to defend my company so that that doesn't affect the bottom line for my investors. Now, you might not agree with that, but my investors expect me to protect the brand. Protect the brand.
You want to protect your brand. You want to make sure that your investors' valuation isn't decreased by somebody making a video. The video that you're talking about was made 8 months ago, right? So you've been waiting to say something about this video for 8 months, right? There's that point. Why? Why wait this long? Second point is, I tell people not to buy your books. Other men have told people not to buy your books for various reasons. But you don't send the Bayhive or the Swarm. You don't send, or, your MAGA, like followers, because you are kind of Trump-like at this point. You don't send them after us. Why was this one person, and I'm not going to sit here and say, why was this one woman, I'm just going to say, why was this one person under your skin so much that you waited and watched for 8 months until it was time to attack? Like that's weird. That's weird. Second of all, the fact that you want to the fact that you feel like one person can damage your brand, that means that your brand isn't really much of anything. I mean, let's keep it 100. Let's keep it completely honest. If you're worried that one person's opinion about your books can bring down the valuation of it, then that means that you are not putting enough material out, or that you don't have the material to back up against what she's saying. You don't have no faith in your product. And if you did, you wouldn't feel the need to attack her or to have your people remove her video or report her video for something called slander, which, for one, her video review was her opinion. I believe you said in the live that her comments was what you took offense to. Sir, get some thicker skin. I'm sure you could buy it. You got the money for it. I mean, come on. Like, let's be a little bit more adult in our responses of things, because you look like a child that's really upset that someone said something bad about your books.
From me as a corporate, as a CEO, there's nothing wrong with defending your company from slander, period. And I tried to do it the diplomatic way by getting it taken down due to proper means. They didn't want to take it down. They didn't want to do it for months. So I said, all right, then I'll have to be more aggressive and ask my fans to use the tools that TikTok gave us. Bullying and harassing another user. That's what they did. They went to the video and said, that looks like bullying and harassing of another user. And they pressed the report button.
Now, you say that she was bullying and harassing a user, right? At the end of the day, you are a corporation, you are a business. You keep saying that you're a business, and yet you come at it in a very individual, you come at the situation with a very individual mentality. So I can't help but to see that you took what she said to heart, and you confronted her. From what I just gleaned from that, you confronted her, and she said, no, it's my opinion, I can say whatever I want, which she can. And you took that as harassment and bullying, and you decided that since she did not do what you wanted her to do, you were going to ask your fans to do what you couldn't get done. And you classified as bullying and harassment, and you did send your people to report that video so that it would be taken down. Now, in the live, you were trying to get real pedantic with the way that you were addressing Waves, and that's a sign of somebody who really doesn't have an argument against what is being said to them. It's a level of deflection, and you're not really answering the question. You're not really answering anything. You're just saying a bunch of words in order to think, to confuse people, to think that you know what you're talking about, and you're not. You don't. Bottom line here is, something happened that you didn't like, and you proceeded to be aggressive, as you said, in a manner that it was not appropriate for a CEO to do. People are going to have opinions about your book. It's not your job to go after every single one of what you don't. It seems like you only go after the women, you know, in order to make a point. And for her opinion, my guy, like, again, like you come across as if you really don't deserve the position that you're in.
How did you feel when she made a 4-part series about toxic black men? She did a 4-part series. She did a 4-part series tearing down black people in the communities, black creators in the community, talk about toxic black men. She didn't say toxic men. She said toxic black men. Before you tell me that I'm a bad guy for that one, right? You feel that that is appropriate for somebody to go on the internet and do a whole series about toxic black men and specifically call out specific creators individually and then be like, I don't understand why people are mad at me.
You ask about how this person felt when they saw that 4-part. Listen, you are asking questions and focusing on things that are really beneath your position. You know, you should not be getting into back and forth with anybody on live about their opinions on the toxicity of men. You feed into that argument. You feed into that because you feel like you should not be held to account. And in any kind of sort of situation, then you kind of make their point for them. No, I mean, I'm hoping this is coming across as diplomatic as possible, because I'm going to be posting this everywhere. Because why does it matter? Why am I even trying? Again, I seem to have the position, or at least people think that I'm not that petty, or that I can come to the room like an adult and lay things out for everyone to understand. As somebody who is a brand owner, I can't help but to see you are imploding, and you're making it bad for the rest of us that are trying to make something happen for the community as a whole, as opposed to whatever you can do for your bottom line. And if you're not willing to listen privately, because I mean, sure, I have not reached out to you privately. I am an advocate for direct confrontation. So I would call you if I knew you on that level. But honestly, I've been turned off from your entire brand by the way that you represent it. The videos that you put out, you know, you try to make yourself bigger than what you actually are. It's a turnoff for me. You know, that's just me. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. So therefore, I don't buy your books. I tell people I don't think anything positive about that brand, because, you know, look at the guy that's representing it. At first, I thought that your wife was, you know, the more reasonable individual, and then I saw her go back and forth with Frankie on her post. I'm like, yo, that entire family's fucked up. Like, like we just might as well just leave that alone. So, but you know, those are my opinions. I'm not bullying or harassing you. I'm not telling anybody to go, you know, unfollow you or anything like that. I'm not even trying to say that your brand should be, you know, diminished in any kind of level. I just don't rock with you. So therefore, there was no reason for me to come to you like someone that I would respect, or someone that, you know, I would even try to know. It's not the case. But I hope this really did come across to you as a wake-up call. You know, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not screaming. I'm not hollering. I'm just laying down the facts as I see them. And I'm pretty sure other people saw it the way that I do. You know, get yourself together, because whether you have, you know, the money or whatever's happening with your brand, it's in the public eye, and you need to do better. You just simply do. So fix it.